Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning into PT World. And right now, obviously, you're watching World This Morning alongside Shazad Khan and Maha Makhdoom. So it's a big and a friendly good morning to all of you guys who are tuned into PT World. Absolutely. And if you guys are under the quilt right now, I think it's about time that you guys get up because you really need to catch up with a lot of few or more things. But at the same time, Maha, you look fabulous.
Thank you very
Baby
much.
pink, wow.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show, as Shazad said. I hope you guys are ready for a very interesting show, and it's a very different show today. And thank you so much.
Where did you get this from? Tahira?
Yes, Tahira.
Tahira once again.
Yes,
right, Tahira, you need
great.
to stitch a few clothes for me too, because if you are going to do that, obviously I'm going to highlight your name in a manner
it's okay.
nobody has ever done that.
She doesn't need you.
Really?
But anyway,
that's bad though.
No,
I think I need to be in conversation with Tahira, but
yes.
that's pretty much all right.
Okay.
But now, Maha, since you are a professional yourself.
Yes,
and
well, I try to be.
Okay, so when you were a child, were you a keen saver? You love saving money? Did you have that piggy bank with you?
Yes, actually I did. We did. Our parents always made us very much into trying to getting us to save. However, as I got older, my habits got a lot worse.
Because your spendings, they increased?
My spendings increased, yes, and I became a lot, I didn't even
but
care.
most of the time, you know, that's what we wanted to talk about. So for all of those who are out there, today is definitely the World Savings Day. It's 31st of October. The history will be revealed by Maha Makhdoom, who's sitting right next to me. So if you remember that, Maha.
You're so evil. No, this was first started in 1924 in Milano, and it was because it's a very important aspect in our lives that we need to bear in mind. Right?
And at the same time, you know,
right.
there's one problem with me.
What?
So whenever I've been to someone, for example, someone very spiritual, so he's going to look at me and he'll tell me that, you know, son, please don't keep liquid cash with you, because if you're going to keep liquid cash with yourself, you're going to spend it. So try saving it. Try getting bonds, try getting property, try getting or maybe investing in some business. So that's the only way for me to save money. But there are many other mediums with which we can save money. That's what we'll be talking about. And at the same time, obviously, we do have experts over here on our celebrity couch today. So I think it's more of an expert couch rather than the celebrity couch today.
Yes, it is an expert couch.
So
well, they're always experts, I hope, in their field.
At the same time, because of the fact that we believe in sharing views from different aspects of the society, from people who are from different walks of life. So let me just introduce to you our experts today. So on my right hand side, a very mellow and a very charming person who's none other than Mr. Hamza Durrani, and he's an Islamic banking expert. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you.
So you're going to stay mellow the entire time? Wake up, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for coming over. Lovely having you. And alongside Hamza, we have got Yahya Mustafa, who's a financial expert and a financial analyst, sorry for stuttering, early in the morning. Thank you very much for coming over. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
And you look stunning too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very bossy. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming over. And alongside Yahya, we have got somebody who's a very senior person, obviously. But he looks very young. I don't know what he has been doing lately, but it's none other than Faheem Sardar, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Askari Securities. Thank you very much for coming over. Pleasure is all mine and hers too.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you very much once again. So today we're talking about saving. So
first of
all, let's talk about your expertise. So Hamza, you yourself, you're an Islamic banking expert, and most of the time whenever we talk about Islamic banking, they say it is just like the way the conventional banking is. So are you going to differentiate from it, or are you not?
Predominantly, there's a misconception in the market that Islamic and conventional banking are the same, but in practice, they are not same. We've got a Sharia Council of experts in Middle East and in Pakistan, and this Sharia Council of experts, they have given a mechanism of how Islamic banking is.
Speak a bit louder.
So, this mechanism of Islamic banking is very different from conventional banking. In conventional banking, there's fixed interest rates and profit rates, and whereas in Islamic banking, there's an underlying commodity involved, and it's not only in papers, in transaction documents that commodity is exchanged, but for example, on the balance sheets of Islamic banks, you will find commodities which is not prevalent in the conventional banking systems. So even though being a bank, the the intermediary duty of the bank is in terms of deposit and lending, making assets and then earning on those assets and making a spread on it. But if you look at an Islamic banking balance sheet, you will find commodity present, which in effect is a way different from conventional
But
banking.
most of the time, it's just the names which are different, Mudarba, Musharka, but somehow I think it relates to the conventional system too.
It relates to the conventional system because we have to give a mechanism, an alternate mechanism for the market to operate. Currently, the markets are operating from the conventional perspective,
Yes.
and to give an alternate solution, we have to provide an Islamic mode of financing, and that Islamic mode of financing is a benchmark from scholars and the historical studies, and they have created a product which is not only on paper terms, but in actuality, it is a alternative to the conventional system. And it, for example, in the market, businessmen, they require funded and non-funded facilities for their for their working capital or for trade-related activities. Now, to be at par with conventional banks and to be with par at international banking system, you have to provide products that are not only Islamic, but are easily adoptable by the business community. So that's a misconception, a misnomer, I must say.
All right,
Okay,
thank you
great.
very much
Thank you
for
for
clearing that
clarifying.
up. But at the same time, I think viewers, it's a good news because we'll be giving you opinions from experts who obviously one of them is from Islamic sector and the other two of them are from the conventional sector. So
Yes.
I think you'll be able to differentiate
It'll be a
in
good
between
balance.
the both of them.
Okay, so Yaya, as a financial analyst, can we just give our viewers, what is a financial analyst and what do you do?
Well, basically, we analyze companies through their balance sheet and their income statements, and we try to identify what sort of, I mean, if the company is good, if it's fundamentally strong or not,
Right.
with the perspective of investment.
Okay.
So what we do is we decode all the financial statements, we try to forecast the cash flows, and we try to identify whether we should invest in that company or not. So it's basically analyzing the financial statements and everything.
So, but where do you get the money to invest from?
Well, the point here is you have got mutual funds, you have got other sources. Individual investors like to see how fundamentally company is strong, how they're performing.
But
So
how
what-
many individual investors do you have other than the
Well,
companies and the
right now,
organizations?
I mean, I'm just trying to provide awareness with friends and everyone
All
Okay.
right.
to focus on fundamentals rather than the technicals and everything.
All right.
Okay.
So the fundamental is a very strong thing that you should know. You should try to decode it so that you can get the idea how the company is going to perform in the future.
All right,
Okay,
amazing.
fantastic.
That is moving on to Faheem Saab. Faheem Saab, I really do not have any idea what securities are and how do we deal with them. So I think you are going to give us a brief idea about that too.
Securities, these are financial securities, stocks, commodities, bonds, mutual funds, everything. I have to say something here. Islamic banking, I've written a book about this,
Okay.
and it's about the pricing structure. Unless the pricing structure changes, and I have proposed a new pricing structure, the story is not going to change. But we know that the banks are doing their utmost best. It's a long process to change things. Well, coming back to securities, this term sounds so scary. It's not that scary.
Yeah.
It just provides security in life. When you invest somewhere, you have secured yourself.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
So
Okay,
we
so
can
that's very
invest in
straightforward.
bonds, we can invest in
That's
shares,
what it
we
is.
can
It's
invest in
pretty
gold
straightforward.
markets. So we can invest. So actually your company is providing us with investment opportunities, and anybody who's actually wise enough, they'll definitely look up for that.
Yeah.
So well, that's just
Okay,
great.
so but today is World Savings Day, so we've now kind of decoded what you guys do. So what is the importance of today? If I start with you, Faheem. So,
Look, every society has its own way of growing. If you take away economics from a society, that society cannot function. And this is something which is horribly understated in, for example, our society. We think it's just something which just passes by.
Right.
Economics is just as important as this air. The societies which have focused on this thing, they've actually grown in size, in depth, in breadth. We're still waking up to it. The biggest markets on earth are financial.
okay.
I mean, we have to take stock of what's going on here, okay? And we're really not part of it.
Okay.
Although we have so much potential, there is so much in Pakistan, there's so much going on, but it's in pockets. It's not consolidated effort. Now, savings, if you don't save, how can you invest? If you don't invest, how can you grow? How can you live? I don't want to like drag this conversation on for too long, but you have to start from the agrarian societies,
Right.
moving onwards to industrial societies. The more industrial you become, the more financial and scientific you become, because you're away from the agrarian society.
Yes.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, just to be very, very layman about it, if a person with a farm does not think about getting more beasts of burden, how is he going to expand his crop?
Yes.
So where does he get the beast of burden? He has to do something. He has to invest in something.
Okay.
He has to forego something for today to buy or to breed something for tomorrow. You see, it's actually
Okay.
pretty simple.
But that's a different dimension too at the same time, because if somebody wants to expand, then they have to calculate their risk, then they have to calculate their profit margin, and a lot of things obviously will be there. But talking on an individual level, for example, since you were a kid, when I was a kid, our parents used to tell us that, you know, we need to save money. Okay, they're going to give us, for example, a 100 rupee note, and they'll be like, okay, now you have to save 50 rupees and spend 50 rupees. So if, God forbid, something goes wrong, you can use that 50 rupees. So how many times do you think we have these or such sort of packages for those young children who are out there? And do you think we're going to teach them how to save? Because I don't know how to save, honestly. Because of our system, obviously. It's the beauty of our system.
It's just because we're too kind.
Too many candies available.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just too kind with ourselves, especially, and then with our kids. If we don't teach ourselves or our children or the new generations to firstly save and to invest wisely, we will pay a price for it.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. Okay?
But then how are we supposed to do that?
It's very simple. One has to firstly not do anything, one has to focus on psychology. You see, we come from a very conservative society.
Exactly.
And I mean this in a good way. We're supposed to be conservative. You're not supposed to be the consumeristic kind of society that we see in the West. But we're trying to follow that trend, which I don't understand. I mean, see, on our traditional trends are, I mean, I say it in Urdu, chadar dekh ke paun philao.
Yes.
I mean, you have to make sure that you do not spend or live beyond your means. Guess what? I mean, now I'll give you something very technical and very complex.
Sure.
That is how tax agents abroad are actually getting people for tax fraud. They just look at their
Lifestyle.
means and their lifestyles. If there's no match, you're in trouble.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Coming back to Pakistan, I mean, I'll try to sum up because I'm sure others would also like to say something. We have to be disciplined. We have to stop aping things we see on the TV. I have had so many arguments with people about the kind of phones they buy. I'm giving you a very live example here.
Yeah.
Just 1 week ago, this friend of mine, he came up to me and said, I'm going to buy, I won't take the name, a certain phone. And he looked at my face and he's like, you didn't approve. I said, of course I don't approve. Firstly, it's not my money, it's yours. Why should I care? But you're my friend. Do you need it? The difference between wants and needs needs to be very,
Yeah, Maslow's
very
hierarchy,
clear.
yeah.
What at least I do as a person, because I mean, I should practice what I preach. If I need something, I take it. If I want
Okay.
something, mentally I've bought it. Physically, I haven't bought it.
Okay.
I'll just delay it.
Okay, so let's ask Diaya. You know, when we're bringing this down, I know you work with business level fronts, but bringing it down to an individual level, how would you advise people out there to try? Because you mentioned this earlier in conversation that in order to buy something, you need to first get into the habit of
Yeah,
saving.
exactly. I totally agree with him. So one should first, like what I do is, I'll quote my own example. What I do is I cut out with a small fraction of my salary and I put it in my savings account. So one should obviously distinguish between their needs and wants. Excuse me. So needs are something that you need it. You cannot survive without it. But wants are something that you can compromise in the short run, and you can accumulate your amount slowly and steadily, and you can then purchase your wants whenever you want.
Okay.
So my advice and my opinion is similar to him, that you should first cut some fraction of your salary or your income and put it in your savings account,
Okay.
and then wait for a certain time, accumulate it, and then try to invest it or buy something by expensive or whatsoever.
Okay.
But then our society, it's very complex. You know, if a friend of mine is carrying like 2 cell phones in his hand and driving a V8, so will obviously the
Well,
other person
that's
will
the
be
point.
influenced by him or her.
Well, that's where self-control comes. I mean,
So then, how do you think we can get our hands on that particular self-control? I need to get my hands on
Can
my
I say
reins.
something here?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
sure.
Read a book.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
Yeah,
Just
seriously.
forget it. It's not even a rat race. Calling it a rat race is dignifying it. Okay?
Exactly.
These things are so ridiculous because I mean, just read a book, get whatever he's doing, go home and save some more. Okay.
So then, how do you think we need to tame our kids? Because we need to primarily focus on them. Right now, they're going to those schools where they actually pay 50,000 rupees. Maybe it's the fee for 2 months. And when they come back, obviously, for all those parents who can afford 50,000 rupees for 2 months, they can afford probably each and everything. So when they come back, they'll be like, okay, so Sardar Saab's son was actually wearing this watch. I want this watch. So now parents, obviously, they're very kind-hearted. How do you think we need to tame? How do you think we need to come up as a
Condition our
society,
children.
emerge as a society where we save? Because we are influenced by the West most of the time. And if we talk about spending, yes, we do not spend. We're very conservative in that manner. If I have, for example, 50,000 rupees or 100,000 rupees, I love saving it. I'll keep it maybe under my pillow. But I might not go to the bank. I might not spend it on anything which might be very fruitful for me. So how do you think we can do that? How do you think we can tame people over here?
Firstly, we have to, as elders in a society, we have to set the right example.
Yes.
If we are going to practice something and then preach something else, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You have to
Exactly.
practice what you preach. If you're going to preach consumerism, then fine, then practice it. If
Yeah.
you're going to practice consumerism, then might as well preach it as well. But if you start preaching and practicing two different things, it doesn't make sense. Why is it that I keep meeting people who actually have become very disciplined now?
Yeah.
So it's a question of being very clear about oneself,
Right.
what you want to do. If somebody thinks that driving a really expensive car or having this, pardon me, this silly phone, I mean, which is so expensive, which I mean, you can't even use it as a brick.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is the purpose of these things?
Okay. So you have to really take it, you have to analyze and reevaluate what you're doing with your life, basically.
Every second of the day, and that's what the West did
Okay.
in the early 1900s. I mean, we've forgotten that. We just look at the movies and the last picture. We don't look at their trends. I mean, they
Okay.
used to, what about their austerity drives? Our people don't even know what austerity drives are because we haven't actually faced one.
Okay. So can we share with our viewers what is an austerity drive and, what should one do?
Okay, an austerity drive is basically, well, as the name and term suggests, you have to be very austere, very strict with yourself and with the things around you in your sphere of influence. You're not supposed to go towards any kind of wastage or unnecessary expense.
Alright.
The Chinese say, they quoted their own currency that one bit of currency saved is a one bit of currency earned.
Right.
So, look at where China is right now. Now they've started spending because they've got so much money.
Okay.
So there's a track record, trend, quantum to all of these things. But before that, sorry I'm harping on the subject, it's psychology. You have to look at the psychology.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to the different trends. Psychology obviously plays a role in our habits. But let me ask Hamza, we're talking about Islamic banking here, and there's different types within our society.
Yeah.
Like ladies here, ladies tend to be a bit more wary of their financial, resources. So they have something called the committee here. So, can you shed any light on that for us, and what is that?
I think committee at a household level saving, it's an excellent mechanism, and it is practiced widely in the urban and rural areas here in
Yes.
Pakistan. And this kind of trends in terms of saving is very good. But if you for the economy to function effectively, the intermediary function that is performed by the banking and the financial sector will be efficiently performing its job if the households, all the women out there, instead of putting money in the committee system, they can put money in financial instruments. For example, savings in terms of National Savings is an excellent organization. They've got excellent products where you can save money and get excellent returns. Similarly, for mutual funds and securities and in the banking sector, The benefit of putting your money in the financial sector in terms of the financial instrument is that number one, the documentary economy would, the transactions would be documented, and the currency in circulations, this money would be available for banks to give further invest in businesses.
Okay.
Okay, but right now I think I've got some excellent tips to share.
Okay.
And these excellent tips are obviously by Warren Buffett. And on earnings, he says that never depend on single income, make investment to create a second source. And on spending, he says if you buy things you do not need soon, you'll have to sell things you need.
Yeah.
On savings, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. On taking risk, never test the depth of river with both feet. On investment, do not put all eggs in one basket. And on expectations, honesty is very expensive gift. Do not expect it from cheap people.
That's like very good advice. But I want to bring it back to
Sure.
this committee. You know, the trends, if we put it into the thing with committee is that there's no interest. You know, you save up and then you invest into a certain amount, and you know, it teaches you to, you know, responsibilities. Other people are relying on you. Is it a good system that we've got going here, or do we need to start making it a bit more, you know, where funds are available for the banks and things? What do you think, Faheem?
Well, firstly, it's a natural system which grew out from our society. You see, these things need to be, we need to value these things. If something came up over the centuries and ages, we need to preserve it. We need to improve it. We need to make it better. Take it away, bring some Western system or some other system which we are not familiar with, and then watch what happens.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Okay, so this is a pretty good system. It's got its own structure. Don't tinker with it. Don't change it. Don't do anything to it. Just improve it if necessary.
Okay.
Because I mean, if banks can do the same thing, I think that would be excellent.
Okay.
But
I'm sure.
how important do you think the housewives can be? Because they can play a very important role in saving and then obviously doing whatever they want to do with that particular money. Because most of the time, women over here, they love spending. They don't love saving at all. In fact, most of the time, whenever they're arguing
Really?
with their husbands, I think it's about money.
Okay.
So how do
Okay,
you
we're
think
talking about
we can
husbands.
actually change this psychology of spending to saving? Anyone?
Look, let's be fair here. Men are hunters, women are supposed to be gatherers.
Yes.
So let's just give everyone their due. But you can always be a gatherer in slightly less expensive things.
Mm-hmm.
You should buy. Well, it boils down to the want versus need thing. Now, the first thing you said about housewives and everything. Well, they're 50% of the population. Speaking as a hardcore capitalist, which maybe I am, you're just you might as well use that HR. That's like 50% of your country, which is like more than 90 million people.
Okay.
So might as well use that, harness that. And I really appreciate the quotes you shared about Warren Buffett, but you know, half of those things actually came from our society.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's actually quite surprising because we need to value what we have, just improve upon it. And I mean, I would love to see a committee kind of a structure in a bank.
Okay, but then how do you think we can change this psychology? It's getting difficult, and now banks, obviously, for example, talking about banks, why cannot they come up with such schemes? Why cannot they come up with such saving modules?
I think I'll be very unfair to answer this question, but I'll just add to it. I'm sure our banker friend can add more to it. But the thing is, banks don't need to.
Yeah, because they have what they want. What about you, Islamic banking?
No, committee is basically a mechanism where people pitch in money in terms of installments.
But
and
that's one mechanism.
Yes.
All right. Now we want banks to come up with such sort of modules, or so that where we can go and where we can put our money, and we do not have to pay any other charges. And by the end of the day, we do get it back too. So since I think it will be one of the very good services provided in the service industry, but why don't you think that they can do that? Or if you're in favor of it, how can we do that?
I think some microfinancial institutions can work on these products.
Yeah.
But in terms of the banking sector, there are alternate products available, and these earnings and the cost to transaction cost is also very important for us. You see, we have to be intermediating and catering to a customer base, whether that's for corporates, small or medium enterprises, or for the consumer on the household level. So when you talk about the household level, the microfinancial institutions, they need to play an active role, and the central bank will provide they are providing guidances, and the microfinance space is increasing.
Right now, the only thing I think which relates to household is those bonds which we can buy for maybe 7,000, 40,000 and on different prices, and then we can give it back and there's no deduction. So I think there should be something like that. More of it should be in the market right now. But ladies and gentlemen, right now I think we'll be going for a short break because we need to go for it. We need to have a glass. Maybe I need to have a sip. So let's see what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about. But today we're talking about savings, how to save, how to invest on your children so that they can save in the near future. So please stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
It's too much.
In the short span of 10 years, we have grown from 2 million to more than 120 million mobile subscribers. More than 90% of the population has cellular coverage. We are the 9th largest mobile-enabled country in the world. Cities, towns, and villages are now truly connected, and this is just the beginning. Pakistan is proud of its mobile industry. PTV World, hand in hand with the nation's achievers.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Good morning once again, and for all of those who just tuned into PD World, you're watching World This Morning alongside Shahzad Khan. Earlier, we were joined by Maha Maktoum, but she had to leave because of one of her personal reasons, but it's perfectly alright. We're going to continue with the conversation. So, over here on our celebrity couch, we've got Hamza, we have got Yahya, we have got Sardar Saab, and they are the financial experts today. But now, moving towards very grassroots level, and talking about savings, since we are talking about savings. So now, how do you think, I have asked this question quite a lot of times now within the show, how do you think we can change their psychology? What do you think we need to do? I think I'll start from Hamza over here. So Hamza, how do you think we can change the psychology for our people?
The consumption,
Because we get influenced a lot of times.
the consumption mindset currently in Pakistan is, I think, is on a more moderate level of growth here. Recently, a survey conducted by the central bank with IBA, a consumer confidence survey, indicated a very positive trend. You see, the consumption is important for the economy to grow,
Yes.
for the GDP to progress, and for things, this circular motion of the currency in circulation to keep on moving forward. But having said that, on a household level, the psychological effects of the consumerism which is projected by the media, it has to be addressed on a basic level by the parents. You see, education it starts at the house, so the mother and father of a child and this household combined, this family unit, it will need to, at a democratic level, come to a compromise of what their spendings are, what their savings are, and how they foresee in the coming future what their plans are. So once they adopt this at the household level, I think things will move on progressively.
Yahya, you're going to agree with this one?
Well, what I'm going to say is just start saving as early as possible.
Early as possible.
You just take some small fractions, as I said before, just take a small fraction, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatsoever. You put it into your savings account and you start accumulating. So a time comes when you can identify the opportunities and you can identify the sources where you can invest that amount that you saved before.
All right.
So the best strategy for individual and especially for youngster is to just take out some small fraction and just put it in the bank and wait for the opportunity to come. And then once the opportunity pops up in front of you, you just take out the cash and invest it.
But it's so hard to look for an opportunity because over here in Pakistan particularly, I think these land mafias, I think they've gathered all those savings which we have.
I don't think so. I mean, there are plenty of other tools and mediums
But
available.
most of the time when people come up to you, you know that they're going to take our money away. They're not going to give it back to us. So how do you think we can make our savings secure too at the same time?
You can invest in mutual funds. You can invest in stocks. You can invest in.
But for a
savings.
layman, it's hard to understand what mutual funds are, what stocks are, what bonds. Even stock market is very risky, and a lot of people they've got heart attacks and their blood pressure issues.
That's because they just want to multiply their wealth very soon. I mean, they just invest 100 rupees before today.
I think we need to talk about this too because, for example, if I've saved like 10,000 rupees, I've invested them somewhere, and I get back a profit of 10,000 rupees. So the next day I'll be investing 20,000. Well, that's good, but I wanted to be 40 the other day too. So how do you think we can do that too, Sardar sir?
Well, okay.
Hunger Games.
Let's just go back to the basics. I believe, you see, I totally agree with what my colleagues are saying here. And I just want to like expand on one point. You see, media is constantly telling you to get things which you, it's sort of what it does is you have.
Because they're getting money for that.
Of course. I mean, there's a need. What they do is they take a want and they replace it with a need.
Yeah.
So, and since the psychology is being accessed from one front, it is important for the parents to tell the difference, re-incentivize and re-scare their kids. Okay, these are the consequences of wasting money. You're on your own.
Okay.
This, that, and the others. Stop let this information come. You can't stop it, but you have to adjust yourself to what's happening, and it works. It does work.
So then, how do you stop your own self? For example, if we talk about you, since you are obviously very well tamed in that manner because of the fact that you know that you're not supposed to buy those expensive phones or expensive cars, because you have chosen lifestyle for your own self and you're pretty much comfortable with that. So how have you done it for your own self?
The word you've used, comfort.
Yeah.
Okay. I would just like to change that if you don't mind. Content. You just have to be content with life, for God's sakes. I mean, when is it going to end? If somebody needs special shoes to run, that's a separate thing. But somebody's wearing certain shoes just for the heck of it, and they're very expensive. Can you explain the logic?
Or maybe just because Lil Wayne was wearing it in his last concert. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, see, there's no relevance to oneself.
I think maybe one day we need to invite a psychologist for that particular reason. That how does it affect us on it over here? That we get influenced by different societies, we get influenced by different people. But why are we in this subcontinent where we get influenced by everybody, but nobody's getting influenced by us?
No, it's very simple. Because allow me to expand on that.
Sure.
Do get a psychologist, but I mean we deal with it day in and day out. What companies, what media has done in Pakistan is what they've done everywhere else. It's very simple. You basically encourage, nurture the animal instinct, and you basically let it loose. There is no concept of stop right now. Okay, in America, it's very strange. Marijuana is not addictive, but it's against the law. Alcohol is addictive, but that's within the law. I mean, it's very strange. So you can see that. Just look at them. We don't want to go on that path.
Yes,
it's very simple. You have to decipher what the messages are. And
I think we need.
And you have to look for good partners in life. I guess I'm promoting my company, but the truth be told, that is what we do. We try to partner with people at Askari Securities.
All right.
We tell them the truth. Look, this is what it is, and it works like a charm. Honestly, it works like a charm. This is not a fable story. It actually does work. There is so much. There's such good banks here. There's such good, mutual funds, and even good real estate agents, real estate developers. I mean, I do not believe that everybody's a thief.
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't go down that path, because that's what media tells you otherwise as well. People who are in control, they have to decipher the messages that are being constantly pumped through advertising. You have to sort of counter it. It's very easy once you understand what the message is and how it's being portrayed. If you address the animalistic instinct of any human being, they react immediately. But
Yeah.
to get them to react immediately, you need to first make them a little more desperate. You need to make them a little more hungry.
Yeah.
So if you take care of those things, you'll be okay, fine, I'll stay hungry, but I'm not going to react to what you're saying. So, zero.
Yeah, obviously it'll be perfect then. But talking about, obviously since we're talking about savings, so now let's talk about the financial IQ of people over here within this particular country. Do you think it supports the system which you're talking about?
Okay, I'll start off with something very complex.
Sure.
If we take a typical Pakistani and ask them what a credit default swap is, they've got no idea.
Yeah.
Most of the Americans don't know either, so that's not fair. Pakistanis are ultra shrewd, ultra sharp. Let's be very clear about
Yes,
this.
they are.
It's
Street
just
smart though.
extremely street smart. Ultra shrewd. The thing is, they're just too busy with certain problems. To educate them would not be a problem. The only issue is, firstly, they're too busy. There are just too many things happening in the society. Need to tame the noise, firstly. Secondly, the governmental organizations, as well as the private sector organizations, they need to set the right example. Okay, this has happened in all the developed economies where there was a time in America in the early 1900s, every American used to think he's going to get swindled by the big tycoon. Then along came, I won't take their names, 2, 3 tycoons. They said, look, let's stop this. Let us give the people their value.
Yes.
Guess what? They became mega tycoons.
But over here now, let's talk about our system. For example, if somebody, they believe in the stock market and they go and they invest. So if all of a sudden there's a lot of investment coming in, then the stock market will just go down.
No, I would respectfully disagree with you, because it depends what you're putting your money in.
Okay.
For example, take us. In our research, which is for free on our website, we have clearly earmarked green stocks. We call them value stocks. Then there's sentiment stocks, which are, as the name suggests, sentimental. Then we've made a red list as well. Stay away from the red list. And guess what? We started doing things along this pattern. Everybody's fine.
But then at the same time, how do you ensure that the balance statements which are being brought to you are really true or transparent?
You just have to look at the results. Are they still making money? Are they still effective? You see, balance sheets income statements are very important.
Yeah, they
There's
are.
no need to recast them. They're being audited by auditors. That's a separate debate. We need a separate program for that. We take it at face value. Good companies, and by the way, there are many good companies in Pakistan. I mean, the list is pretty long,
Yes,
actually.
obviously.
They're doing good business. They're paying out good dividends. They worry about their reputation. And by the way, as I've been saying all along, in 10 years' time, I can see that they're going to be multinationals.
Inshallah.
No, it's very clear.
We're working in that direction
Yeah.
though.
So, I mean, the opportunity is there. We are an example where we're reaching out to people. You just read, don't do anything.
But I think the cycle should be from the other way too, that the people actually now are supposed to, in fact, they should reach out to such companies, because most of the time there are a lot of consultants available and they obviously will give you a very good advice in that particular manner. But we need to know, first of all, that how many companies are available out there who can actually guide us through. So most of the time, actually, we do not even research, we do not even go out, we do not even talk to people about savings, what we're supposed to do. So please make sure that you research at least, that these are the companies available and where we can invest, how can they be fruitful, and ask for advices. Advices are for free, obviously, but do ask for them, because by the end of the day, you're going to do what you feel is all right. But now, before wrapping up the show, any advice, any piece of advice you want to share with our viewers, just look straight into the camera and let them know.
I think consumers and households overall in Pakistan, they need to, whatever the savings they are making, whatever the disposable income that they have, they must ensure that they keep some amount of saving for the rainy days. I mean, they have to keep money for the education of their children, for college, for university studies, for marriages and everything. But to make that happen, you have to be prudently investing that money somewhere so that money keeps on growing. And you've got mutual funds who've got the expertise to make that decisions for you. They have been monitored by watchdogs, so you have a peace of mind that nobody's going to cheat you on your money, provided that you make the right decision and move with the right people in the right company.
Perfect, that is. Yeah, what about you?
Well, my advice is just discipline yourself and start saving as early as possible. and try to accumulate your cash and look out for the opportunities.
All right. And before I take a message from you, there's one last thing I wanted to ask, and that is that these lease facilities available in the market, are you in favor of them?
Lease facilities.
Yes, obviously that, for example, we can go to a bank, we can get a car lease from there, a home loan and stuff like that. Do you think it's a part of saving? Because by the end of the year, by the end of 5 years, when the lease is going to end up, I think we are paying more money to the banks.
It's a question of your financial structure.
Yes.
Because it's another debate. I'll try to be very short about it. It's about financial gearing. You get a tax benefit. These things are tax deductible. I won't get into the details.
Yeah.
One has to look at one's own situation, and it is advisable. And this is my message to everybody,
Sure.
to myself firstly: differentiate between wants and needs. Save what can be saved, and build upon it aggressively, very aggressively.
Right.
Building upon it does not mean trying to get more return. Building upon it means to be disciplined about it.
Very nice. Thank you very much for coming over, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
Lovely having you, gentlemen of Extraordinary League. But thank you very much once again for joining us. So people, that was a brief idea how we can say, what we can do, how we can research upon things. So we really need to differentiate in between needs and wants. So if you do not know what we're talking about, you can go on the internet, open up Google, write down Maslow's hierarchy. You're going to get to know about it. But be sure that you start saving, because a lot of people these days, they're working in private firms, and those private firms, they do not really have any retirement packages. So if you're not planning on it today, I think you'll be in trouble tomorrow. So please look after yourself, start saving today, and you'll be a good person tomorrow, and you won't be relying on anybody else. So look after yourself. Don't forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion, it's World This Morning. Catch the rerun at 11:05. Look after yourself. Good morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you.